Good day everyone, Garage King here, and today we are going to install screen protect on the Acura MDX. I have some minor scratches, not as bad as this, but if you have scratched up gauges that look kind of like this, well, this screen protect is supposed to help you out. Plus it makes your car more durable. The other thing is if you're thinking of selling your car and you don't want to get rock bottom prices and you don't want to take it to that shady mechanic.
No, you hear that clunk?
No.
Yeah, that tells me you need 4 new tires.
Well, this is something you can do yourself, and you know what? You can get a great sense of empowerment knowing that you did a good job. Now, the instructions are very clear. It comes with this QR code you can scan and view the very easy to follow directions. Now, I must say the parts in this kit are really good quality. The squeegee, the lint-free towel, are second to none. They are very good quality, so I was really impressed with that. Now, I'm doing it on a fairly warm day. You can see here 32 degrees is 90 F, and the directions are saying your interior should be around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're gonna take a little bit of a chance, and we're gonna do it on a warm day, and I have full confidence we will be successful. So let's take a close look at my gauges because I want to give you a before and after view. So here you see we are scanning in, and yes, definitely some scratches. And let me tell you, these happen so easy on most vehicles because the plastic is just so soft. So you can see it's definitely scratched up. Now the Acura has 3 screens. We have the gauge cluster, we have this touch screen right here, and we even have our maps above. You can see everything is off. Now what I'm doing first is I'm actually outside the instructions. I'm going above and beyond a little bit. I just have a IPA mix, so that's like a rubbing alcohol mix, and I'm just spraying down to remove any grease. This is not in the instructions, and if you do this, please do this at your own risk. So once that's done, we can take a look at what we have. There is the lint-free cloth. I have some tape. The reason I have the tape is just to remove dust particles, and in addition to the squeegee it came with, I have these fancy hockey stick looking things, and what they are is they're actually used for wraps, but they'll come in very handy. I use them all the time for paint protection film, and I will leave the link in the description for you all. Here is a quick demonstration. You can see me, I would be able to tuck something in very easily behind trim, and they're actually designed for that. So very great tools to have. So let's get to it. Now, we're just filling up the solution here. Now, all we're doing is we're just adding water because it does come with soap included. Now, if you run out of solution, all you have to do is add a drop of baby shampoo and more water. That's all it is. It's just a simple solution. So the instructions say to first, as you can see here, we spray everything down and we use the squeegee to wipe everything off. And what we're doing in this process is we are removing all the dust particles. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to spray the actual film. Now it's important to spray the film on both sides. You can see here I'm spraying the front, I'm going to peel it away, and I am going to spray the back. Now more is better, and I can say you can never have too much. Don't think you can overdo it because more is always better, and make sure the screen has lots of solution on it. You can see I'm being very, very generous with the solution. Now, one thing I should say is make sure you don't put it on backwards. So when you peel it away, the sticky side goes towards your vehicle because, I mean, it would be possible when you're, spinning it around in your hand to put it in backwards, and you definitely don't want to do that. Now you can see I'm just positioning it, and it does slide very, very easily, and you can move it around. Now, don't worry about getting it absolutely perfect in the initial stages because you can still move it around once you do, squeegee it a little bit. However, keep in mind that the more you squeegee it, the more it's going to stick and the less you're going to be able to move it. But initially, you still have some play. So don't think it has to be, perfect the first time that you actually do it. I'll say it again, don't be afraid to keep spraying solution on the front of it. Once it's done, you can just wipe it dry, and we are going to move on to the next one. So here you can see, here's our touchscreen. This was the easiest one out of the bunch because it is small, it's square, and it is flat, unlike the gauge cluster, which we will be tackling next. So this one was quite easy. Now, I wanted to leave this in and didn't want to edit this part out. I actually got a dust particle underneath, and you can see here I'm using my tool and I'm actually lifting it. Now, the best way to get a dust particle out, I find, is to try to flush it out first. I mean, if you can't, you can use a tool. You could try to pick it out, but make sure you're using a lot of solution when you're doing this. Okay, so you're probably asking, when are we doing the gauge cluster? Well, here we are, time for the gauge cluster. Now, I found this to be the hardest part, and I'm zooming in here because look at the angle. The squeegee doesn't work, obviously, side to side, which means you have to use it up and down. So you're always going to want to push down with the squeegee, and the reason is you want to push any dust particles that you have down. You don't want to push them up because what's going to happen is they're just going to float back down. So once Once you're comfortable that your gauge cluster is clean, it is time to apply the film. Now here you can see I'm moving the film around and I'm going to work in quadrants. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeegee out a little part of it in a corner, and that's going to tack the film down just so it doesn't keep sliding around, and then I can continually reposition it to make sure I'm happy where it is, because I definitely want to make sure that I have the gauge cluster fully covered. I mean, the last thing you want to do is do this job and then find out you missed a part because the film is pushed over too much to one side. So you definitely don't want to do that. And as I mentioned before, the more you squeegee it down, the tighter it gets to the gauge cluster and the less movement you have. So it's good to take care of any movement and repositioning early on in the job. So I've sped up the video here and you can see I've squeegeed it out, and then what I've done is I've given it a wipe. Now the next day I wanted to see how it looked. So here it is the very next day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe it off because there is residue on the surface from the fluid that I was spraying yesterday, the soapy fluid, and you can see it looks absolutely perfect. Or so I thought. Here's how it looked the next day, and you know what? At first glance it did. It looked really good and I was very impressed. And I was thinking to myself, you know, job well done. I'll pan to the other screen up top. You can see it looks just good, but the cluster did not look that good. Now, most YouTubers may edit this out. I want to leave this in to show you. Here is the air bubbles that were left in. It's important not to have dust, but just air bubbles and fluid is just fine. So I went back the next day and take a look at this. Now this is super clear. It is not cloudy. It dried even more. So I was super impressed. If you remember during application earlier in the video where I threw up an arrow, there was an air bubble there. It went away. And take a look at the gauge cluster. It looks absolutely fantastic. I am very, very impressed with this. And to be honest, I can't believe how fast all of the air bubbles actually went away. So this is 2 days. Now the instructions do say that it could take up to 2 weeks for air bubbles to go away. Most of mine went away after 2 days. You can see here it looks really good. When I pan back in a second, you'll see there's still 1 or 2. And at the time of editing, I can say they are all gone. Now this product that I used, the Screen Protect product, I really liked it. I was a little bit concerned at first because I thought I didn't know how well the stenciling was going to be, how good the patterns were going to be, but they fit absolutely perfect. To me, that was super important. The quality of the squeegee and the lint cloth was really good. So I really don't have any complaints. And the biggest thing is the final results were awesome. This is what I had before. I had some scratches before, and now I have absolutely no scratches and a lot of clarity. I'll be sure to put the link in the description if you want. If you have any questions, anything like that, please leave them below. Thanks for joining me for this episode today, and I hope you enjoyed.